Some of these goals were scored while the player was on his back or flying through the air. Here are the most unforgettable goals in NHL history. Number 12. Keith Primo pops the winner in the longest game since the 1930s. I admit that some may be disappointed that this aim is even on this list. It's not a showy dangle, nor was the puck shot fast enough to blast through the mesh and shatter a pane of glass. But he'd been playing hockey for nearly 2.5 hours. After one period, these guys get a workout, let alone 3 periods with 4 overtimes. It's a marvel that Primo and the other players on the rink are still alive. The Flyers-Penguins game, which began on May 4, 2000 and ended on May 5th, remains the longest game in the NHL's 75-year history. Having said that, the goal was admirable. Primo shook a defender before firing a picture-perfect wrist shot past Ron Tugnut. Number 11. Mario Lemieux scores off face-off. Okay, this has happened a few times, and Mario Lemieux's face-off goal is just one of a few examples. It does, however, have the best tale of any of these uncommon objectives. It was December 2002, and Lemieux had a running bet with a local radio DJ that if he scored on a puck drop, he would donate $6,600 to the Mario Lemieux Foundation, which supports medical research. Essentially, this aim demonstrated both impeccable timing and philanthropy. Number 10. Tomas Ertl, 4 goals in style. Czech forward Tomas Ertl had a 30-point season in 2014-2015. Ertl had a promising rookie season in 2013, but he hurt his knee, thereby ending his season. Ertl, on the other hand, lit up the New York Rangers in October 2013, scoring 4 goals in one game. The first was a great tip on a corner pass, the second was a simple slide under the pad on a breakaway, and the third was a buried rebound. His fourth was another breakaway, but he roofed it with the stick-through-the-legs method. After the game, a reporter asked if his antics were unsportsmanlike, at which time veteran Joe Thornton yelled that the reporter needed to shut up and said that on such a night, if I scored 4 goals, I'd have my C out. I'd be rubbing it with my C. If we make a video on the top hockey quotes of all time, this will be on the top spot. Number 9. The Great One tallies number 802. Fast forward to the 22nd mark to witness a fantastic defensive effort leading to the picture-perfect passing that resulted in this goal. But first and foremost, why is 802 so important? At the time, Gordie Howe held the all-time record for regular season goals with 801. On March 23, 1994, in a game against the Vancouver Canucks, a 6-3 loss, Gretzky put his 802nd goal in the net to cap off a fantastic tic-tac-toe from Jari Kurri and Marty McSorley. I should mention right now that number 99 has so many fantastic aims that we could have done a full list of just them. That's a story for another day. Make sure you subscribe to not miss that. Number 8. Pavel Bure, lost in the skates. Pavel Bure spent the majority of his professional career with the Vancouver Canucks despite having played for 6 different teams in North America and Russia. He had no shortage of lofty ambitions no matter where he went. He had a fantastic deke against Calgary in 1994 and a handful of brilliant coast-to-coast rushes that resulted in embarrassed goalies. But September 1996 brought a shorthanded goal in which he made it appear as though he lost the puck in his skate, chipped it back to his stick, and popped it in the net. Although this was a preseason game, he made a difficult move look easy and completed it at full speed. Number 7. Alexander Ovechkin scores sliding on his back. This goal requires a combination of luck, ability, and perseverance. Many players at any level quit after being knocked down, but not Alexander Ovechkin. He scored some incredible goals, including at least one while sliding on the ice and his 500th with just one hand on the stick. But against the Phoenix Coyotes, he took a bad step while trying to pass the defense, took a tumble, and was able to keep his stick on the puck and contort his body in such a way that the puck went into the net. Number 6. Sidney Crosby, Olympic gold medal. There are a few reasons why this goal is on the list. It's not as spectacular as a deke or top-shelf slapper, but it shows a picture-perfect give and go between 2 of the best players in the game at the time. Sid chipped the puck along the boards to Jerome Iginla, who slid it back to Crosby, who buried it. Not only was the passing move flawless, but so was the rapid release and keeping the puck low. Furthermore, this was a gold medal-winning overtime goal between 2 opposing teams. The United States and Canada are neighbors, economic partners, and 2 of the world's best hockey nations. This was one of the most intense games in international hockey history. It came down to a simple but flawlessly executed move. Number 5. Steve Eisman, Game 7 double OT howitzer. Steve Eisman, widely regarded as one of the best captains in NHL history, was a superb leader as well as a brilliant player. He demonstrated the amount of power he could put behind a slapshot in 1996. Game 7 of the Western Conference semifinals between the Detroit Red Wings and the St. Louis Blues, Eisman jumped on a loose puck in double overtime and cut through the neutral zone. While some may have chosen a dump and chase, others may have attempted to run around the defense and hold on to the ball, but Stevie Y wound up and blasted a shot that beat goalie John Casey block aside, barely inside the post and just under the crossbar. Number 4. Mike Legg and Legg Granland, the Michigan. Legg Granland, who presently plays for the Minnesota Wilds, and Mike Legg, who was drafted but largely played in minor leagues, are both featured. The Michigan is one of the worst dangles ever witnessed in the hockey world. Granland did it in an international competition in 2011 when his Finnish team faced Russia, and Legg did it while playing for Michigan against Minnesota. The idea is to get the puck flipped up on one stick behind the net, then reach around the post and flip it in over the goalie's shoulder. Number 3. Mike Eruzione, Miracle on Ice. I've previously included a few Russians on this list, but this is from a time when they were the bad guys in both international politics and, more crucially for this list, hockey. It was the Cold War era, and the Soviet Union and the United States appear to be on the verge of nuclear war at any moment. The Soviet Union sent professional hockey players, while the United States sent university-level players. It was 1980. The Soviets were heavy favorites to win, but the US pulled off one of the biggest upsets in the game's history in the medal round. At the start of the third period, the US trailed by 1 but scored on a power play to tie it up. And only a few minutes later, Captain Mike Eruzione put a wrist shot in the net from the top of the circle to put the US ahead. It ended up being the winning goal. Number 2. Paul Henderson, Summit Series. The Summit Series, like the Miracle on Ice, was a conflict, putting evil folks against good guys in a series that wasn't only about the game but also had political connotations. It was brutal, the teams despised one another, and foul play was unavoidable. The Soviets won the first game, Canada won the second, and Game 3 ended in a tie. Both Games 4, the final to be held in Canada, and 5, the first to be held in Moscow, were won by the Soviet Union. Canada won the next 2 games, including a 6th in which the ante was raised in the category of violent play. It was do or die for both teams in the 8th game, and the score was deadlocked at 5 late in the third period. Paul Henderson missed a chance on net with less than a minute remaining and smashed into the end boards. 2 Soviets checked Phil Esposito after he regained the puck. He was able to chip the puck into the net, and goalie Vladislav Tretiak was unable to stop it. Meanwhile, Henderson had risen and picked up the puck in front of the net and buried the rebound. Number 1. Bobby Orr's iconic finish. If you discuss this goal in a room full of Canadiens, someone is bound to say, "My buddy, family member, whatever, has a picture of that in his living room." Despite playing for the Bruins, the man was a Canadian treasure, and this finish is the best in hockey history. Following 3 comfortable victories over the St. Louis Blues in Games 1 through 3, the Bruins and Blues headed to overtime in Game 4. Orr scored 40 seconds into the game after receiving a feed from center Derek Sanderson. He was being tripped at the time, so he was soaring through the air while celebrating. We could have chosen any number of Orr goals, an end-to-end rush, for example, but this is undoubtedly the most famous goal in NHL history, so we're confident in our selection. For a change of pace, click the video on the screen to watch how this NHL player ended up homeless.